Hey everyone, I'm the Magic Illumineer, and welcome back to my little corner of magic and wonder on the internet where I discuss Disney's Lorcana. We're finally at the end of this series. Um, it's kind of bittersweet. I'm excited, but I'm also kind of disappointed to be at the end here, at the end of this series here. I've been discussing the different ink colors in Lorcana, from amber and now all the way down to steel. I've been going through the different themes and synergies in the different ink colors, what they can combine with well, different cool combos that you can make. And now, like I said, I'm finally down to steel. It's the last of the six inks in alphabetical order, and I'm looking forward to jumping right in here and discussing that. Let's begin. All right, we made it to the last ink color, steel. Steel has a few different things going for it, namely a lot of strong characters and methods of removal of your opponent's characters. I'm really excited to go through some of these cool cards that Steel has available. For starters, there are a lot of cards that have keywords focused around challenge-based effects. Uh, Two types that I'm going to be really kind of focusing on here are Challenger and Bodyguard. So Challenger cards, they were kind of already discussed in one of my earlier videos. I believe that was Amethyst. But as a refresher, the keyword reads, while challenging, this character gets plus X strength, where X is their challenger value. There are several different cards with Challenger and Steel, such as Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist, and Simba, Redeemed King. These cards are great for dealing high amounts of damage to characters, but are typically weaker defensively because of the way that their challenger ability works, where it doesn't activate unless you are the challenging character. It doesn't work when these characters are challenged by an opposing character. The second keyword that I wanted to focus on is Bodyguard. Bodyguard keyword reads, this character may enter play exerted. An opposing character who challenges one of your characters must choose one with Bodyguard if able. This is a really strong defensive ability, showing off the duality of steel characters. Cards like Mickey Mouse Musketeer and Hercules True Hero have the Bodyguard keyword and are designed to protect your other characters from being challenged by putting themselves in harm's way instead. Very much an aptly named ability. Next, I'm going to shift focus a little bit here to talk about more direct removal options that are included in Steel. There are several different ways to remove pesky characters on your opponent's board, from items and actions to cool character abilities. Some notable examples of items and actions are cards like the song Grab Your Sword or the item Plasma Blaster. Grab Your Sword deals 2 damage to all of your opponent's characters in play. It's a particularly strong piece of removal because it doesn't target characters, and that really does a good job allowing you to get around cards with the Ward ability. As a reminder, Ward protects characters from being targeted by anything other than a challenge. Meanwhile, the Plasma Blaster can be exerted for 2 ink in order to deal 1 damage to a chosen character. It's targeted removal, so it doesn't have that same ability as Grab Your Sword to get around Ward, but it's still strong in its own right as an ability. There are some very strong abilities on character cards that can be used to remove opponents' characters as well. Cards like Tinkerbell Giant Fairy can use her Rock the Boat ability when she enters play to deal 1 damage to all of your opponent's characters. She also has the Puny Pirate ability, though, which reads, during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may deal 2 damage to a chosen opposing character. Tinkerbell is such a strong character with these 2 abilities that as she can use both of them effectively to control the board. And another example of an ability that can remove characters from the board is on Hans, 13th in line. His Stage a Little Accident ability reads, whenever this character quests, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. And this is really a rather common theme in Steel, where characters, items, and abilities all provide a lot of options to damage opposing characters and keep your opponent's board presence minimal. The last mechanic that I wanted to focus on here with Steel is card draw. Steel has a few different strong options for card draw, but none stronger than what's probably the current best card draw engine in the game, A Whole New World. It's a 5-cost song that has all players in the game discard their hands and draw 7 cards. It's so powerful. Other notable card draw options in Steel, though, include the Musketeer Tabard, which focuses on synergy with bodyguard characters being banished in order to draw a card, and cards like Simba Future King, whose Guess What ability allows you to draw a card and then discard a card when Simba enters play. There's an honorable mention here as well to Ransack, which allows you to draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. Effects that we've seen in similar games like Magic the Gathering. Overall, it's a very strong option as well. It helps you remove cards from your hand that you don't need while also digging deeper into your deck. With regard to theme, the Lorcana website says the following about Steel. Steel glimmers are strong, large and imposing, armored, or just plain powerful. Steel glimmers can apply huge amounts of brute force to get the job done. Now, Steel's library of cards just screams pure strength when you look at it. Everything from Maui to Beast, Cerberus, Giant Tank, Kronk. I mean, the list of characters with it just goes on and on, all with lots of strength and power. And with regards to the art on Steel cards, it's certainly interesting. There's a lot of different dark and muted colors, which I feel actually sets the tone for a lot of these pieces of art and fits well with the theme mentioned previously. Some notable pieces here that depict this are Grab Your Sword by Peter Brockhammer and Mickey Mouse Musketeer by Joachim van Gool. But really, my personal favorite art in Steel, I mean, it has to be Tinkerbell Giant Fairy by the artist only listed as Cookie. I mean, just the way that Tink is tormenting the pirates, who are now so much smaller than her, is so amusing to me. I'm a big fan of the card, both in terms of its art and in terms of its playability. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think you guys know the drill by now. Incoming repetitive standard disclaimer. My intention with this section of discussing the various combinations and synergies with other ink colors is not to focus on the strongest combos, but instead on fun interactions and choices that you can make while finding your favorite color combinations to play. Once again, I'm going down the list alphabetically. That's nothing new, so I'll be starting with Amber. I'm so glad that I finally have a chance to revisit this color combination of Amber and Steel after my first video, because the whole set is now out and there are so many more cards to discuss really at this point. The Amber Steel combo can really build some cool bodyguard mechanic stuff with all the different Musketeer cards, all 3 of which are in these 2 colors. That's Mickey and Donald in Steel, and then Goofy in Amber. They can also combo really well with the other bodyguard cards that you can play the ball alongside the Musketeer Tabard, for example, to provide a ton of card draw whenever one of them is banished. Because each time a bodyguard card is banished while the Tabard is in play, it lets you draw a card. Multiple in play, I believe, will trigger multiple card draws, so that could be a very strong card draw engine. Keeping these bodyguard cards in play is challenging, though. And one way to help you with that is cards like Rapunzel Gifted with Healing, or perhaps even Hakuna Matata, to provide your characters with healing to keep them alive. Another strong combination right there. Looking over the Amethyst Steel combination, there are a few different options that work well here together. Notably, I think Dr. Facilier, Agent Provocateur, works very well with the Challenger cards, because he'll be able to use his Into the Shadows ability to return any of your other characters that are banished in a challenge to your hand. My personal favorite combination with Steel and Amethyst, though, is probably still Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, with A Whole New World. If you ever find yourself in a position where Jafar's strength is being reduced by having a small hand size, you can use A Whole New World to discard the remaining part of your hand, potentially, which is even 0 cards, and then draw up to 7 cards again, which will, again, significantly strengthen Jafar back to 7 strength. Emerald, Steel, two colors that will make your opponents want to pull their hair out generally. Emerald and Steel both have a lot of pesky cards that can either remove your opponent's characters or are difficult to remove themselves. Emerald has cards like Mickey Mouse Artful Rogue in addition to this that can really make use of the large number of action cards that Steel has to trigger his misdirection ability, which will prevent a chosen character from questing until the next turn every time you play an action. So you can play several different action cards and choose several different characters on your opponent's board that won't be able to quest the next turn. And yeah, with so many cheap options in Steel to choose from, like Fire the Cannons or Smash, you'll be able to not only remove things from the board, but bigger options that you can't immediately remove, you can use Mickey's ability to lock down for a while. Looking back at my review of the Ruby Steel combination, I don't think that my opinion's changed at all, really. You play this combo if you really don't like your opponent and you want them to have a bad time. You can shove all the different removal cards like Be Prepared, Grab Your Swords, stuff like that to remove multiple threats at a time. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy also works really well for that. And then you use cards like Mulan Imperial Soldier, Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, or even cards like Taka Heartless to target individual characters and challenges and get their the added bonuses of these characters out of it through each of their own individual abilities. Whether you're increasing the lore generation of your characters through Mulan, or you're gaining 2 lore through Taka, or you're stealing 2 lore from your opponent through Aladdin, there are a lot of different strong options here to choose from. Sapphire and Steel. The combination was discussed in my most recent video, and I think it went something like this: something 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 ramp, something something removal. I'm pretty sure I talked about this one at length, and I really don't know how much more I can add to it this time around. Not to cop out here, but I think you should check out my previous video on this one to learn more about this combination, because I did talk about that one in a lot more detail. My final thoughts for Steel are that these beefy buggers are going to be a handful to deal with if you have an opportunity to play them on the board. So many big and strong characters to deal with, and enough removal in the early game to play to be able to get you there. The theming is on point, and the art, while rather muted and maybe a bit subdued with the color scheme, really is quite beautiful, all things considered. That's all for me this time. I really do appreciate you guys joining me on this journey. It's been a really fun experience to be able to put this series together, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more reviews and discussions about Lorcana. I've already got a bunch of other stuff planned. It's just a matter of recording it and putting it all out for you guys. This series may be over for now, but I'm so excited to be able to move on to other projects here, and I really hope to see you guys in future videos. See you next time.